This week's podcast is brought to you by FreshBooks. I've been using FreshBooks for years. We send hundreds of invoices a year using FreshBooks. It is incredibly easy to use. Whether you're a large business, a mid-sized business, or a freelancer, FreshBooks allows you to send out custom invoices and get paid faster. I have a secret. We were using a very popular accounting system that a lot of people use that's a giant pain in the neck to use, and I couldn't do it any longer, so I searched out all over the internet to find a place where I could do my bookkeeping online, and I came up with FreshBooks, and I'm pretty excited about them. They are not expensive at all. They are perfect for freelancers. They are perfect for the self-employed, and they're perfect for my business too. And for the next 30 days, you can have unrestricted free trial to FreshBooks by going to freshbooks.com/MDP and enter $1 million plan. You guys know I don't endorse a lot of products. I only like to endorse things that I use, and I've used them for years. So check it out, freshbooks.com/MDP, and enter $1 million plan and see why I'm always so happy.
A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible to me.
This week on The $1 Million Plan, we explore early retirement. How early? Well, earlier than 65, which, as you know, for healthcare reasons matters. We're talking either age 60 or 62. Our guest is Allison. She joins us now. Hello, Allison.
Hello.
Is this as exciting for you as it is for me?
It is. I want to hear what you say.
Well, I don't know how exciting it is for me. That's the point. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. So, Allison, you are 49 years old. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Tell me about yourself. What do you do? Who's in your household? What's going on?
So I am single.
Okay.
I have no dependents. I did have a pet until recently, so there was a large expense there, but she has gone over the Rainbow Bridge.
Dead pets.
And I think I'm going to be petless for a while.
You know, our dog Ernie died in like February. That's a sad. So what was your pet? What was your pet?
A cat.
Dead cat. And what was the cat's name?
Belle.
Belle. How long had Belle graced your presence?
She was 10 or 12 when I adopted her in 2012. She was a loving cat, but emotionally needy, I would call it.
Yeah,
but
maybe I'm a cat. Well, I'm thinking about this. I might be a cat too. I'm emotionally needy. So your household is just you. It's just you.
Just me.
Okay, and what, you work for the government? Is this right?
I work for the federal government.
Okay. And you want to retire in early 60s?
Correct.
Why?
Well, in the federal government, that's actually kind of late.
Okay.
Many people I know who come into the government at their early 20s are retiring at 57, 58. I work with law enforcement officers. I work for a federal law enforcement agency, and many of them are retiring at 50. And, of course, they have mandatory retirement at 57.
Sure.
So a lot of people around me are retiring. I am a second career federal employee. I did not come to the government until I was about 38. So I will have 25 years at age 62, but I have to at least get the 20 in. That's the big number you have to get to.
Do you get to carry handcuffs or a taser or anything, or no?
No, the people I work with do.
Oh. So you don't get to carry anything fun?
No, I have a cell phone.
Yeah, well, depending on how hard you can throw it. So your total annual income, gross, is $101,000. That seems like a lot of money, right? Is it? Yes?
It is. I'm blessed. I have a wonderful salary. My starting salary 12 years ago was $38,000.
Whoa.
But due to changing into another position and then gaining grades within the GS schedule, I just passed over 101,000, and I have the opportunity potentially in the next 3 years to go up one more grade, and I'll get about a $10,000 raise if I do that.
Okay, I'm going to make a completely ignorant comment that just shows how little I know about life, and slightly embarrassing probably. I didn't realize people in the federal government can make that much money, and that's not judgmental. I just didn't realize that. That's great.
Now, I do have a cost of living increase because I live in a high cost of living area on the East Coast.
The East Coast. And so, but here's the thing about you is you put a lot in your retirement account every month, which means your net take-home pay, your gross take-home, or your gross pay would be $8,333 a month, but your net pay, because you have so much withholding for good reasons, is $3,970 a month. That's great.
Yes. Now, I will say I did not max out my CSP, which is our savings plan, until this year.
Okay.
2017. I will max it out in 2017. I was at 15% to 17% previously.
What changed that? Was it just the pay increase that allowed you to do that, or did you make a lifestyle change?
Pay increase. I got another step in November. I looked at my budget. I've tried every time I've gotten a step or a grade increase to add to my TSP, whatever percentage. I do flat numbers. I find it easier to do that than percentages.
Yeah.
And it was increasing it, and I looked how close I was to maxing it out for 2017, and so I decided to do that.
All right. So what do you spend money on at home? You got a mortgage of about $1,000 a month. You don't have a car payment, right?
No, I didn't pay cash. I got a 0% interest loan and was able to pay it off very quickly because I basically had the cash to pay for my car.
So I assume lots of cat calendars and things to keep you in the cat culture. No?
I'm a big traveler.
Oh, yeah. Where do you like to go?
I just got back a couple weeks ago from Europe for 10 days. I met my niece and my sister over there. Mm-hmm. And then my last really big trip was to Australia last fall with a friend I travel with.
That's a long flight. I've taken that flight, and it feels like it will never end.
You are correct on that.
It's crazy. You're like 10 hours in, and you're thinking, can you imagine what astronauts feel like? Like, especially if when they go to Mars, because we had a rocket salesman on our show last week, and they're going to send people to Mars, maybe Lance Bass from NSYNC to Mars. Can you imagine how bored he'd be on a flight to Mars?
No, it wouldn't be me.
Where'd you go in Australia? Sydney? Where'd you go?
We did Sydney, and then we went up to the Great Barrier Reef. I actually spent Election Day on the Great Barrier Reef snorkeling. Well,
I watched a story this week on the news that the Great Barrier Reef is dying at record pace because of global warming, and you were there on Election Day, and we jumped out of the Paris Accords, and you were just in Europe. It's all connected. Illuminati. Okay, so let's look at your $1 million day, because I think it's interesting for your situation. You're trying to become, let's call it financially independent at age 60 or 62. Your $1 million day, based on what you're doing now, and what you're doing now is you have $288,000 set aside in investable assets, and you put $1,920 a month towards that. That's August 27th of 2027. So on the day we're recording this episode, that's 10 years and 1 month from today. Allison, you will be a millionaire.
That's awesome.
That's exciting, right?
It is.
So you're living the lifestyle you want to live now. You're living within your means. You don't have debt. Can you see this current lifestyle continuing at its current steady pace? Wait. We'll complete that thought right after these words. So you're racing against the clock to wrap up 3 projects, prepping for a meeting later in the afternoon, all while trying to tackle a mountain of paperwork. Welcome to my life, and welcome to the life of business owners and freelancers all across this globe. Challenging? Yep. But our friends at FreshBooks believe the rewards are so worth it. The working world has changed. With the growth of the internet, there's never been more opportunities for the self-employed. To meet this need, FreshBooks is excited to announce the launch of an all-new version of their cloud accounting software. And believe me when I tell you, it's beautiful. It's been redesigned from the ground up and custom built for exactly the way you work. And I work. And anyone works. Get ready for the simplest way to be more productive, organized, and most importantly, get paid quickly. The all-new FreshBooks is not only ridiculously easy to use, it's also packed full of powerful features. Create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds. For those doing the math, it's a half a minute. Set up online payments with just a couple of clicks and get paid up to 4 days earlier. And see when your client has seen your invoice and put an end to the guessing game. FreshBooks is offering a 30-day unrestricted free trial to my listeners. That's you. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/MDP and enter $1 million plan in the How Did You Hear About Us section. That's freshbooks.com/MDP and enter $1 million plan. Go get the free stuff right now.
I'm also paying off my mortgage early. I'm trying to, and so if I would retire at 60, my mortgage would be paid off, and I can foresee myself not staying where I am currently living, which is a high cost of living area, and I may move back to my hometown or to some places I previously lived.
What's your home worth if you were to sell it today?
170, but I paid $226 for it.
Okay, it's worth 170, and you paid 220. How's that work?
So back in 2006, I bought at the height of the market, and I put 90,000. My mortgage was for 150, so I put about $76,000 down because I sold my previous home and got a lot of equity out of my previous place, and so I was never underwater, but I did lose a sizable amount of equity when over the housing drop.
So your payments
have gone up slightly in the last year, maybe $10,000.
So in the next 9 years or so, it looks like you're going to have that thing paid off, which then decreases the $1,000 a month of income that you would need per se, right? Because we're eliminating obligations.
Except for taxes.
Except for taxes, which never really go away, it turns out. Okay, so here's what we've determined. Let's start at 62 and work our way backwards. At age 62, you'd have $1.34 million at your current pace. And it's important, Allison, to understand that is if you stick at that $19.20 a month in long-term contributions. You know what I mean? If that never goes up. $1.34 million, and that would create a net monthly income of $3,117 at age 62, or in inflation-adjusted numbers, and so basically in today's dollars, $2,261 a month. Now, let's do some other fun math here. You're going to have a pension, and you estimate your pension to be somewhere between $2,200 and $2,700 pre-tax. I guess it would be $2,700 if you waited till age 62, right?
And if I get the grade increase to make the higher salary, because it's based on my high 3 salaries during my career.
Okay, so we're going to go with that. We're going to say you did that, and we'll say it nets out to $2,100 a month of take-home pay. So that means you add that $2,100 a month in take-home pay to the $2,200 a month in today's dollars of income, and you're looking at about $4,400 a month of income, whereas right now you are making less than that. Your net take-home pay is less than that right now.
Okay.
So the major question here, and if people are listening or watching on Pete the Planner TV don't have this question, I'm a little worried about them. What's the healthcare plan? What's the healthcare strategy here?
I get to stay on the federal healthcare, and I pay for it.
And then how much will, that's a dumb question. I was going to say, how much will that cost? We have no idea what's going on in healthcare in this country. No one knows. But is it going to be like $1,000 a month? Is it going to be like $600? What, do you have any idea?
I would guesstimate right now it would be $600 or $700 a month.
And then the other, here's an interesting way to think about that. That almost replaces your mortgage payment. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Interesting. So I would say this: it is tight, but I think you could retire at 62, and I don't think there'd be a whole lot of issues. Now, I will say, when I do these long-term rates of return, I calculated at 8%, which means over the next 13 years or so, Allison, you would need to be invested in the sort of assets that could average you 8%. Are you that aggressive as an investor, or do you invest a little more conservatively?
I'm in a life cycle fund in the TSP, so that will change over time. I could change that to a later retirement date fund if I could choose to do that.
Nice. All right. Do you feel like pressing your luck and going to 60? Because I can run the numbers super quick here, and I
would love to know what at 60. There's a little bit of incentive for me to stay till 62. Mm-hmm. I get a little bit more in my my pension if I stay that long, but those extra 2 years. But I'd just kind of like to know what 60 would be.
So 60. Okay, so you're at 20. I'm going to give you two numbers to focus on here, and they're a little weird, but your estimated non-inflation adjusted. So after tax at age 62 is $3,100 a month in income, $3,100 a month, and that nets out after inflation to about $2,200. Okay, so that's what we just said. Now, if we go to age 60, it goes to $2,500 a month and $1,900 inflation adjusted. So it's about a $300 a month difference in today's dollars, inflation adjusted. But then also, as you just said, you're going to take a lesser pension amount too, because you'd be retiring earlier. I don't know. That seems a lot tougher to me. That seems a lot tougher.
Yeah. And there's potential to contract and there's a specific position I'm sort of interested in potentially for maybe a year or two, retire, get that position as a contractor at a part-time level though. So there is that potential. I'm not counting on that, but there is a potential there.
Now, I think the other factor in this, you're going to want to continue to contribute to your TSP, which for a lot of people that don't know what that is, it's the thrift savings plan that is like a 401k. Your TSP, you need to contribute to it as much as you can to drive these numbers higher, but then you also have the option to invest off to the side, not through that plan, as long as you don't become more dependent on your income as you get raises over the next 11 to 13 years. I think this works. Like, there's some uncertainty. We had to fudge some numbers here and there and guess, but this doesn't terrify me. I don't say, hey, Allison, you need to reconsider your plan. I think 62 is very doable.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. I felt like that would be the more comfortable place, but I just kind of wanted to hear, somebody's more learned opinion.
Well, when are they going to be on the show? The learned. No, just kidding. So what could go wrong? And not to be Dunny Downer here, but what could go wrong here with your plan?
I would say health issues, maybe disability, would be the biggest thing that could happen. Okay.
And do you have reason to fear that or be concerned about that? Or are you just being pragmatic and you're saying, well, it could happen?
I'm being pragmatic. Okay. I don't have any thing that I know of right now, but sure. Things happen on a daily basis.
Right.
We can't control.
So what else? What else could go? The market could underperform. Let's say you average a 6% rate of return instead of an 8% long-term rate of return. Nah, it's not terribly different. No, actually, let me hold on. I'm going on the flight. It affects you about $100 a month. About $100 a month, I think, in take-home pay. Let me make sure I'm right here. I'm wrong. $400 a month in today's dollars if you were to average 6% over the next 13 years instead of 8%. So you can see how important it is to be properly invested, right? That's a
Correct.
pretty big difference. That's a $5,000 a year net difference in income, which is pretty significant for a lot of people. Do you think you'd be able to, when you move out from the East Coast, you'd be able to move where you want to move without taking on another mortgage?
Potentially.
Yeah.
That would be my goal. I would like to take my equity out of my condo and move somewhere else and buy something that I could pay for with cash.
And then let's not forget, I mean, you get Social Security whenever you choose to take it, correct?
That is correct.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother factor here. That
I've tried to make my decisions, though, working on it'll be nice if that's there, but not to count on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can look at whether to take at 62 or take at 67 or take it at 70.
Do you have longevity in your lineage?
On one side and not as much on the other side. So I've got a lot of mixed genes there.
Yeah, I guess you don't get to choose sides there, right?
No. I had an aunt who just, great aunt who just lived to 98.
Whoa, man. And it's worth noting, the more longevity you have in your family, the healthier you are, and if you're able to retire without Social Security in your mid-60s, you shouldn't take it. You should take it when you're 70. If you have longevity concerns or health concerns, or you don't have enough income, then taking Social Security as early as 62 can make some sense. But again, Allison, I would say you would want to put off Social Security in your situation as long as possible.
Okay, thank you.
What else could go wrong? What else? Let's beat up your plan here. What else could go wrong? You got your car's fine. You've paid it off. I mean, at some point in time, you'll probably do the same thing that you did just now with a car 5 years from now, right? You'll buy it 0% interest and pay it off over time.
Or I'm currently saving $300 a month as a car payment.
That's what you're doing now?
Cash. Yes.
You should host this show. You should I will fire myself, and you're doing a good job. So you have $25,000 in savings. Is that $300 a month going towards that, or is that a different account?
It's all kind of lumped together. I have about 12 to 13,000 in my emergency fund,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else is kind of delegated to something, and a big portion of that is to a new car in the future.
Nice. Well, do you have any other questions for me? I will.
I do.
Yeah, hit him.
So I will be 50 next year.
Okay.
Should I start the extended pay amount into my TSP when I turn 50?
Yeah, the catch-up provision. Absolutely. Takes you, 20?
As much as I can squeeze?
Yeah, there's two reasons. Number one, we want to grow that nut, right? We want it to be bigger when you go to draw on it at 62. But the bigger issue for me is always preventing your lifestyle from expanding. I think if you can glide into your retirement lifestyle starting at age 50. So Allison, what we're trying to get you to do is from age 50 to age 62 and beyond is to just keep your lifestyle steady. Like if you're going to travel because that's what you're going to do in retirement. But just and the way that you make sure you don't mess this up is that if you absorb your raises, in other words, when you get raises, you don't increase your TSP, that's how you get in trouble. So
okay.
Regularly, what are your raises? Like 3, or is it based on that? It's based on?
It depends whether you're getting a step for the year, within the GS scale and within your grade, or you're just getting the cost of living. We've gotten as little as 1% for cost of living. I will get a step in November. It'll be an extra probably $100 or $150 into my paycheck.
Sure.
Then it'll be 2 years till I get another step increase, so I'm getting to the middle of the scale, and that's where you slow down the steps. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, as I said, I potentially in the next 2 to 3 years could be getting a grade increase. depending upon some circumstances.
Awesome. Well, what else? Other questions?
Yes, long-term care insurance. So I can get into the federal program. I've looked at some of the numbers. I've played around with it. At what age do you think I should really seriously look at this?
All right, so let's talk long-term care. We haven't talked about it a lot on this show. There's some things to consider. Number one, I find it to be more appropriate when a significant other is involved. Because what happens is if you go into a long-term care facility, a nursing home, which, by the way, don't ever call them nursing homes, to a nursing home where they'll punch you in the face. And when you go into a long-term care facility, your assets are depleted if you don't have long-term care coverage until a point in which they're so low that then Medicaid helps pay for your stay. When you don't have a significant other or a survivor or someone at home, it doesn't matter as much because you're depleting your assets, but it's not like someone else needs them, right? If I go to a long-term care facility and I deplete my wife and I's assets and she's at home with no assets, then that's a problem.
Correct.
Now, a part of the argument, though, comes to this idea of choosing your care. And do you want private care that you pay for with either your assets or long-term care insurance dollars, or do you want to go on to Medicaid eventually and have the difference in care? Some people think it's a huge deal. Other people think it's the same. And I've seen it happen both ways. Do you happen to have an opinion for some reason as to the care that you would receive on Medicaid versus private coverage?
I was more thinking along the lines of staying at home longer, but
Sure.
maybe needing some assistance, not the final probably into assisted living or nursing home. That's what more I was thinking about. Being that I am single, I won't have someone at home there to help me out.
No, that's fair. So here's what to consider. Number one, typically, long-term care. By the way, long-term care insurance is not that old as a product, which means there's a lot of issues right now in the long-term care space. Premiums were mispriced, which means people who thought their premiums were one price for years to come are being told that it costs more than they thought it would. Like, imagine that. You budget for a certain amount, 10 years later they come back and are like, we're going to have to double your premium. Like, that doesn't work, right?
Right.
So that's still happening. I don't know what plan the government uses, but I will say this. The younger you are when you purchase it, especially if it's a fixed cost, the more you lock in that lower premium. I think 49 is a little young probably to purchase it. Probably early 50s if you're going to purchase it. I don't know. I don't think it's a no-brainer, though. I used to sell long-term care insurance as part of being a financial advisor, and sometimes it made sense, sometimes it doesn't. So for you, I'm giving you a foggy answer. That is to say, you could get it, but I don't think it's 100% necessary.
Okay.
See, that's not a good answer. I hate when I do that. I like to give people good answers. That didn't feel like a good answer, did it?
And there's probably no exact right answer.
I know, but it's still... it's... The problem here, or the problem with trying to answer that question is the long-term care insurance industry needs to figure itself out. That's more on them than it is you and your situation. Like, I think there's just a lot of changes on the horizon. Again, because it's a newer problem. People used to retire and then die. They didn't retire, live 30 or 40 years, go into a facility and then die. And so that's the nature of the change.
Right.
So much death. There's cats are dying. People are dying. There's so much death on this episode here today, Allison. We tell you got any jokes or anything?
Well, we want to live our lives as full as we can right now.
Well said. Well said. Any other questions?
Yes. The Roth versus traditional argument. I know there's pros and cons on both sides.
Yeah.
Right now, I am 100% Roth at the maxing out my TSP. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that definitely changes the numbers I gave you then. I mean, it really does. Let me see. Let me go back to my normal. Here, give me a second. I'm going to see how that changes your rates. It changes them a lot, actually. you go, it makes your dollar amount $600 more a month in today's dollars because you've already paid tax on that money.
Okay.
That's a huge change. Huge change. So, I mean, let that be the deciding factor.
Okay.
You don't need the tax deduction right now, clearly. And that $600 a month difference by not having taxation in retirement, because that's what a Roth product is, that's huge. That's huge. You're doing it exactly right. Exactly right.
And I'll have some because we didn't have the Roth option, the whole time I've been in the federal government. And of course, our the government's contributions are in traditional.
Sure.
So I would say right now I have about maybe 100,000 of it is in Roth money.
Yeah. We'll keep cranking that up. I mean, that'll pay big dividends. I mean, you're going to have, by several $100,000 more in Roth by the time you retire. So it won't be 600 because of that blended tax structure, but 600 more, but it'll be significantly more, 400 to 500 at least.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's it.
Oh my gosh. It was very good. Well, once again, I'm so sorry about Belle, and I'm sorry about my dog Ernie. My kids are on me to get another dog, but it turns out it's kind of nice not having a dog for a little bit. You know what I mean?
As I said, I'm taking a break. It allows me to do some more traveling without having, to find pet sitters and all those kind of things.
Right.
So
Right.
I miss her, but again, there are some advantages to taking some breaks, I think.
I totally agree. Well, thanks for the work you do for everyone in this country, your work with the federal government. I sincerely appreciate that. And thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you.
All right, that's it this week for the $1 Million Plan. If you want to be on the show, be on the show. We're recording a bunch of episodes coming up, so get your stuff, man. Let's do this. Have some fun. Talk about our dead pets and things. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Until next time, see you later. Bye.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, drawing greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love, Tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?